Go ahead and roll for perception.
I got an 18.
Ooh, 18 is really good. With that, you can see some advertising space available.
So you're telling me if I have a product YouTube channel or podcast that I want advertised, I could do it here?
That's right, and you can get more details by emailing the Dungeoncast@gmail.com.
Awesome. I'll have to do that. Thank you very much.
Enjoy the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Will.
I'm Brian.
This is the podcast where we talk about everything Dungeons and Dragons, from cuddly koalas to clever cambions. And today we're talking about Corellon Larethian.
The big man himself.
Big Elf Dad.
Big Elf Dad.
Big Elf Daddy.
Hi, Elf Dad. Why are you such an asshole?
He's actually quite a nice guy.
He's a pretty nice guy. Why are your kids such assholes?
Are his kids assholes?
Yeah, elves
Oh,
are
you're talking
jerks.
about elves. Elves are actually very, very nice in the actual vanilla lore.
If you're an elf.
No, I think elves are very generous and kind for the most part. They can be a bit isolationist and a bit arrogant, but I mean they're generally very good creatures.
They're mean to dwarves.
They can get frustrated with dwarves, but even in just normal D&D lore, elves and dwarves are actually allies.
In Tolkien, you have to spend a lot of time with your dwarf or elf buddy until you're like super
Until you
bros.
actually get along. Yeah, that's true.
But then you're like bros for life.
Then you're bros for life. That's true. So Corellon Larethian is the chief deity of the Elven pantheon, known as the Sildarine. He is a chaotic good, greater deity, so he's a big boy, and creator of all the elves. As the patron deity of elvenkind, Corellon governs the things held in highest esteem by elves. So magic, music, arts, poetry, and warfare are all things under his domain.
He governs magic?
Yeah, we're going to kind of get into that. He is a patron of the magical arts. Elven wizards pay homage to him and not to Mistra. And he's got kind of a deal with Mistra where his magic operates differently and a little bit separate from her weave. But
oh, wow.
We'll get into that later.
Like there's it's like two different, like it's like 4G and 5G.
I liken it to the way that like Apple actually doesn't own their own cloud storage. They just rent it from Amazon.
Oh my God, they do.
Yeah, actually from Google, I believe it is.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that it is Google. Doesn't Google like float their storage like out in the ocean?
Or do they really? That's super cool.
It's either
That's
that
interesting.
or they had a design for it where like they had like turbines to power it from ocean waves.
Gnarly. Oh, that's really cool. I have to look into that. But yeah, I liken it to that. I feel like Corellon's just renting weave space from Mistra. But
they're just buying cloud storage at a discount.
So Corellon is also known as the Protector, the Preserver of Life, and the Coronal of Arvandor. It is said that Corellon is both chaos and beauty personified. His mood and visage are as fluid and changeable as the wind. Though often referred to as a he, Corellon has no true form or true gender. He can appear as male, female, both, or neither. He can appear as like a babbling brook or a tree if he wants. It's up to his whim.
Like a ball of light.
A ball of light, yeah. He could and probably does do that a lot.
Okay.
Most commonly, Corellon is depicted as an androgynous-looking male high elf with golden hair and unearthly beauty and grace. In Forgotten Realms, it's actually said that Corellon affixed himself to this male form when he married Arishne, who ends up becoming Lolth later, in order to create a balance to his wife's female form and give like the elves like some sort of balance, I guess.
Oh, interesting. So he like took on the form of like gender with a mate to like kind of make a mirror of it in the material plane?
Yeah, kind of. Now that's Forgotten Realms lore, and I guess we'll talk about it now. So before diving into anything further with Corellon, I just want to say that essentially there are two versions of Corellon Larethian. Mm-hmm. There's the more familiar version that's presented in every single edition in Sourcebook, all the way up until Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes of 5e. And then there's 5e's Sourcebook, Mordenkainen Tome of Foes version of Corellon.
Okay.
We're going to talk about both. They're both very, very different people, and they have very different lore and origins.
And then I'll talk about the Amazon Prime live adaptation.
Okay, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Have you seen that meme where it's like the manga, the anime, the live adaptation?
No, I
by
haven't.
like Netflix or Amazon or whatever.
Whoever, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's funny.
My Corellon's going to be played by the actress that does the Ancient One.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
that's a good pick, I think.
Yeah, just like in Constantine, she was Gabriel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think she's a great pick. Tilda
Swanson?
Tilda Swinton, I think
Swinton?
her name is.
Yeah, okay,
she's
there
a
you
very,
go.
very good actress.
Thanks
Anyways,
for that pool. I was having trouble with that pool.
Yeah, no problem. So Mordenkainen's Tomophos presents Corellon as a capricious, mercurial, and whimsical entity of unknown origins. He simply just existed one day, and in his existence, he danced from world to world as a being of infinite grace and mutability.
I showed up and I'm like, oh, dope. I'm going to dance.
Yeah, exactly. They really lean heavily into Corellon's chaotic aspects in this version, and in my opinion, they way heavily downplayed the good aspects of his character.
Heavily downplayed. So they made him more like a fey creature.
Yeah, very much more like a fey creature. He seems very much more morally ambiguous and just chaos. Mm-hmm. He's very flamboyant, passionate. He loves wholeheartedly. He breaks oaths with no reservation, and he takes pleasure in new experiences and encounters. He essentially is a whimsical fey god, is this version.
So if Corellon like promises you something, like take it with a
grain of salt.
With
Have
all
a grain
the
of
salt.
salt. Yeah, seriously. Well, the traditional depiction of the Elven Lord is that of a father/mother, teacher, and leader of his people. He embodies the highest ideals of elvenkind and seeks the honing of crafts of art, music, magic, and swordplay. He forms political alliances with other pantheons and entities in his pursuit to preserve the elves and good in the universe from the taint of evil. Though he spurs his people...
I'm sorry, the taint of evil?
Yeah, basically, the taint of evil. Yeah,
That's gross. I bet it smells bad.
I bet it smells horrible. So, though he spurs his people to self-reliance, he leads by example for his elves to emulate. He is a fierce and arrogant warrior, a wise caretaker, and a graceful and skilled artist. So those are kind of your two versions. And both versions have different stories for every major event that Corellon is known for. And so I'm going to have to tell you multiple stories for every story that I tell you today.
It's like Bob Ross is the mortal embodiment of Corellon Larethian. He's like putting on paint classes and stuff, but he's also like a delegator to like social issues.
Yeah, that's exactly what he would be like.
Cool.
And also a dope warrior.
A dope warrior. Bob Ross stabbed you with a paintbrush.
Yeah.
Got you right in the neck.
So as I was saying, Mordenkainen's also took it upon itself to rewrite some of the major historical events of Corellon and the Elves in order to make the new version of Corellon fit. So we're going to tackle it as we go along, and so let's get started. The first historical diversion between the two versions of Corellon is the story of Corellon's infamous enmity with Gruumsh and the origins of the Elves. Gruumsh, if you don't remember, is the chief deity of orcs.
Yeah.
And a mortal enemy of Corellon.
Yeah.
So Mordenkainen's Tomophos claims that in time immemorial, while Corellon danced from world to world, his whimsical antics caught the attention and wrath of Gruumsh, mightiest of the orc gods. Corellon, though, pays little heed to Gruumsh's fury, and in his arrogance, he allows the orc god to get too close to him, close enough to strike and wound Corellon.
Oh, I bet when he got hit, he was like, "What the Gruumsh, dude?
What the Gruumsh?" Gruumsh striking Corellon ignites a clash of the titans that legendarily cost Gruumsh his left eye. From the blood that Corellon shed were born the first elves, among them those that would become the Seldarine.
What else does that? Don't the devils do that? Doesn't Asmo do that when he bleeds? He like spawns.
Yeah. Every drop of blood Asmo that falls from Asmo's body spawns a pit fiend, which is the most powerful kind of devil.
That's right. I remember our bit about like being at dinner and like
exactly,
because he's always bleeding.
God damn it! Just get out of here. In the middle of a meeting.
The same thing with Corellon.
Asmodeus, I serve you.
Like all good callback. When it happens to
that's a t-shirt right there. Asmodeus, I serve you.
When it happens to Corellon, like a bunch of elves spawn and they just like dance away. And he's like, oh god, okay, bye.
Yeah, I can see that. So that's the Mordenkainen's version of those events.
Oh, that's cool.
The traditional version is a bit different. So the traditional version of the story, the Seldarine already existed, so they're already like a pantheon. There just weren't elves yet.
Okay.
And Arishne and Corellon were already wed at this point. So that fact is very important because her betrayal is a key component to the rest of the story. Honestly, it's a key component to every fucking major event that happens to Corellon.
Okay.
But we'll get into that later. So in time immemorial, right after the Prime was first formed, the various gods decided to divide the world up into sections for their various creations to live in.
Like the planes? Or they just kind of divide up the
prime material
plane?
plane. So like dwarves get the mountains and the humans get the whatever, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, the gods are deciding to kind of divide it up. As a prank, though, various gods of other pantheons decided to rig the lot drawing in such a way so that there would be no lot for Grumsh to draw. Real dick move. That's not really a prank. That's just fucked up. So this, of course...
I wonder if he was like, what the Grumsh, guys? He's like, damn it, now I'm saying it.
No, what the Grumsh?
It's so catchy.
It's so catchy. I don't even know what it means.
Oh, what does it even mean? What do you guys mean when you say that? What the Grumsh, you guys? Oh, damn it, I said it again.
So, of course, this sends the chaotic evil entity into a furious rage. Still, Corellon seeks to set things right and manages to convince Grumsh back to the negotiation table.
Okay.
He's like, look, man, that was fucked up. Let's figure something out. We'll talk about it.
Hey, dog. Not cool.
But Corellon's wife, Arishne, ends up conspiring with Grumsh against Corellon, and in her desire to take Corellon's place as leader of the Seldarin.
Oh, I was about to ask why.
Yeah,
power.
For power. She convinces Grumsh to attack Corellon at this negotiation. Furthermore, she cursed Corellon's legendary sword, Sahadrian, so that when the orc god struck it, it would shatter. And she did this, of course, in secret. Yeah, she wanted to get this motherfucker killed.
Oh, yeah.
So Corellon only manages to survive this attack by Grumsh by the intercession of Sahanin Moonbow. That's another elven goddess. She's going to come up a lot in this. I really look forward to her episode, actually. Who arrives just in time because she catches on to the foul play, even though she can't quite pin it on Arishne.
Okay.
And she ends up restoring Corellon's blade. Corellon then disarms Grumsh, gouges out his eye, and it's said that the blood spilled of Corellon mixed with the tears of Sahanin Moonbow, because Corellon was wounded at the time. And from this mix, the elves were born.
Was she like Pegasus crying on, like Harry Potter style, crying on his wounds, like to heal him?
Maybe. Sure. Absolutely. We can go with that. I kind of like that image.
Was Arishna was the wife?
No, Sahanin Moonbow. No, Arishna is the wife who betrayed him. Yeah, because she's Lolth. We can just call her Lolth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna say, like, the daughter, who's the goddess? Sorry for like not remembering my lore very well, but like in the Underdark, there's that goddess, that part of the pantheon that's like for the drow. That's like a good guy kind of.
Elistra'i. She's the daughter of Corellon and Lolth.
This moon tier chick sounds just like her, kind of.
I guess that, yeah. They're both kind of tied to the moon, but so are a lot of elf deities, and they are both very kind deities.
Super interesting.
I think Sahanin Moonbow is probably my favorite of all the elven gods. She's super cool.
That's like a cool name. This is a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, but she's super dope. And like I said, she's come up a lot.
Sahanin Moonbow.
So either way, there's kind of one thing these two stories agree on. Unlike other gods who had an active hand in creating their progeny race, Corellon created the elves unwittingly, and more importantly, from part of himself, from his blood.
Right.
And thus all elves are essentially small, self-aware portions of Corellon himself.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they're little pieces
they're little
of gods.
Nanotech, like little satellites.
Nanotech. Yeah, there we go.
They're sending data back to Corellon. He's like, no, I'm busy.
Right.
Like, I can't listen to this small portion of my brain.
Right, exactly.
Like, not all the time anyway.
So the second major discrepancy between the two versions of Corellon is the story of the War of the Seldarin and the betrayal of Lolth. Even though she's already betrayed him, she betrays him a second bigger time. Mordenkainen's presents the original elves risen from the blood of Corellon not as the humanoids we traditionally view them as, but as infinitely mutable beings, much like Corellon himself.
Okay.
Where was I? Lost myself in my notes there. So many words. Much like Corellon himself. And of these, they were called Primal Elves. Of these Primal Elves, one was privileged to be greater than any of the others. Despite having more power and prestige than any of the others, this being was unsatisfied with Corellon and his leadership.
Well, like a mortal being?
One of the Primal Elves.
Oh, one of the Primal
Elves. Yeah, this is the greatest and most powerful of the Primal Elves. Was unsatisfied with Corellon's leadership, and she wished to lead the elves to conquer the multiverse, and she saw potential in gaining power by giving up her mutability. She named herself Lolth and persuaded others to take on static forms. As the elves changed their nature, they also changed their perception of themselves and of Corellon. They came to view Corellon as their father who sired them, and they came to view Lolth as their mother who set them on their new path of destiny.
Oh man, it's like a bad divorce.
It's like a bad divorce.
It's exactly that.
Yeah, right. Except, yeah.
There was like attempted murder involved.
Well, there's about to be. So Corellon, upon discovery of what was going on, he was, I guess, busy at the time.
Okay.
He's revolted by what he perceives as a betrayal.
Okay.
In his anger, he rails against Lolth. I think it's implied that he straight up attacks her.
Oh.
Because again, this is Mordenkainen's Corellon. He's not a very good dude. He's kind of
he's chaotic.
He's very chaotic.
He's just trying to get shit done, however.
And he's very emotional. This ends up dividing the elves into two factions that either support a Corellon or Lolth's positions. Rather than a war, though, it seems that before their hosts of elves, Corellon and Lolth engage in a mighty debate. But at some point during these epic arguments, Lolth ends up striking a blow against Corellon while he's distracted. And what's worse is while Corellon's host rose to defend Corellon, Lolth's host did nothing to stop their mistress's onslaughts.
Oh.
So her actions rendered the elven people asunder. Lolth and Corellon split ways. Lolth, in this version, chooses to go on and become a demon lord. Weird choice, but okay.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, Corellon casts out all the elves out of Arvander, with the exception of the Seldarine, who were like the mightiest and greatest of the Primal Elves that he had kind of chosen.
Right.
So that's Mordenkainen's version of the War of the Seldarine and the Betrayal of Lolth. We're going to get into the other version after the short rest.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hey everybody, welcome to the part of the episode. We're not talking about the last thing we're talking about. We're talking about this new thing. This new thing is you and how much we love you. Tell them how much you love them, Will.
All the much.
I love you too. Let's talk about people on Patreon that we love. Thank you for becoming a patron, Cameron McGowan.
Thanks, Cameron.
Alexander Reyes.
Thanks, Alexander.
Nick Frazier.
Thanks, Nick.
Brutal Tostitos.
Thanks, Brutal Tostitos.
War Boner.
Thanks, War Boner.
And Nathan Abernathy.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate you coming on board, and we're hoping you're enjoying all the exclusive bonus content that we have available on our Patreon.
Indeed.
For donation tiers for you today, anytime. You can go there 24 hours a day and get Patreon services depending on how much money you want to put in. So we do get the majority of those proceeds, and it really does help keep the lights on for the show. We were able to upgrade a lot of things, like our... let's see, our microphones are brand new. Mm-hmm. Our audio interface is brand new.
New lighting.
We got new lighting. We're working on getting, the next big thing on the list is laptops and cameras, new cameras, because we do use our phones to record the video for this, which is great. It works fine, but I would really like a camera.
Indeed.
They're just very expensive.
Indeed they are.
So for a quality one, like we would want to get, and laptops would super make our lives easier, but we're working on it. And we really appreciate all the things that you guys do for us, telling people about the show and things like that really help the visibility, leaving iTunes reviews. But there's something in particular you can do to maybe help yourself get a little extra off the top from us. We are putting on a dice giveaway. You can get Goliath 40mm D20 made by Kraken Dice. We will ship it directly to you. Here's what you got to do. Go to the Dungeoncast on Instagram, follow the account, find the post that mentions the giveaway, leave a comment on it tagging 2 people. And as long as you are still following us at the time that the contest drops, you'll be entered in the drawing, and we'll pick someone at random to win the die. There's another way you can enter.
Yeah, just go on Twitter and go ahead and share either the Dungeoncast or SuperQuest Saga with the hashtag Dungeoncast or SuperQuest. And both of those will be counted as entries, so that'll be 2 entries.
Right.
And if you do that, yeah, you'll be entered into the contest, which I think we are drawing a name from the pot on the 13th. Yes. Yeah. So June 13th, we'll be announcing a winner.
I think in between this episode and next or something like that.
I think so.
By
something
next
like
episode,
that.
we'll look at the calendar and
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we don't announce it for like another at least month or month and a half from now. So
that's
just
true.
because of the way we record.
That's true. Although it'll get announced on Twitter.
Yeah, and on Instagram.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who's been following. We've been seeing like a good upswing of followers on there, as a result of the contest and stuff, I'm sure. But it's actually drawing in like, oh, we do have an Instagram account, and people are like realizing that. So
it's a thing.
Yeah, thanks a lot for doing that. We do like announcements and polls and stuff, and post like cool art on those platforms, and the meme game.
The meme game.
The meme game's strong in D&D right now. So yeah, let's get the fuck out of here and go back to the show.
Let's go back to the show.
Returned.
Indeed we have.
We've returned.
And last we left off, I was telling you the Mordenkainen Tomofo's version of the War of the Seldarine and the betrayal of Lolth. So now let's get into the traditional version of this story. So the original version of this story tells of Arishne, Corellon's wife, and her fraternization with the enemies of Arvandor. We're talking about the gods of the goblins, the orcs, and other evil deities, and a conspiracy between her and Corellon's son, Veyran. So her and Corellon had a couple kids, Veyran, who's the older son, and then Elistrae, who's the younger daughter.
Oh yeah, that comes up.
Yeah, Veyran takes after his mom. He's a bastard. And Elistrae takes after her dad. She's really cool. So a conspiracy between her son Veyran, and the evil pantheons of all these enemies of Arvandor kind of coalesces. And she has her son bring the armies of her enemy to Arvandor, and she has her son curse the scabbard of Corellon's sword so that it would trap his sword when he attempted to unsheath it. There we go, unsheath it. And he also the curse had a second effect that the scabbard would attract bolts and arrows to its wearer.
Ooh, what?
Yeah, and they tricked Elistrae, Veyran's sister and Corellon's daughter, into giving Corellon this scabbard so that he wouldn't even think about foul play because she's such a dope person.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Damn.
So they had a really good person tricked into giving it to him.
Ooh, that's messy.
It is messy. So the forces of evil invade Arvandor, and Corellon leads his armies to defend their home. When he meets in battle this ogre deity, he attempts to draw Sahadrian from his sheath, but because of the curse, of course, it was stuck. Elistrae, ignorant of the curse, attempts to save her father by firing these ogre-sized arrows from her bow to slay the ogre god.
Ogre-sized arrows?
Yeah.
She's just like launching ogres out of a cannon. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Or just maybe like petrifying ogres and like stand like a tree, like as pointy as you can. Okay, turn you to stone. I'm going to fire you out of this cannon.
Sure. But because of the curse, her arrows were magically drawn to and struck Corellon in his chest.
He's like, are you shooting ogres at me? What the fuck?
Right. So, still, Corellon in all his power did not die here. The elven armies do eventually push back the forces of evil as Corellon lays wounded. Arishne then, again, remember that's Lolth. I should probably just call her Lolth, but she's not Lolth yet. She's Arishne.
Not yet.
So Arishne approaches her husband with a terrible poison disguised as a healing ointment. But before she manages to apply it, Sahani Moonbow shows up.
Oh, okay.
Who had caught on to the wind of the plot and treachery. And I believe at this point she had proof that Arishne was behind everything. And with the help of fellow elven goddesses Eridre Fania and Hanali Selanil, there we go, fused together, the three of them, into this being known as the triune goddess. Gosh, I don't want to have to pronounce this. Angarad? Angarad. The triune goddess Angarad, which is Sahani Moonbow, Eridre Fania, and Hanali Selanil, all fused into one. Super goddess.
And they confront everybody like, what the grumsh is going on here?
So she, seriously. So she shows up, she subdues Arishne, and she heals Corellon.
Okay.
Arishne and Veyran are then put on trial and found guilty. Corellon brought his power down to bear upon his wife, transforming her into a giant demon spider, renaming her Lolth and banishing her into the abyss. He also banished the Dark Elves and the Elven gods for siding with her during the whole conflict. I guess I left that part out. Yeah, the Dark Elves totally fought against by the side of ogres and goblins.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the naming of Lolth. It's like it sounds like a word like I can't think of something, so you're like, I'll call you Lolth.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, Lolth.
Right. So, two very different stories with essentially the same-ish outcome, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
it's like no matter what universe you play it out in, you're like destined to become Lolth, and like Corellon gets wounded.
Yeah, it's just one, she willingly went there and they weren't actually married, and Corellon was kind of weird about it in the other version. In this one, he just got tricked a lot.
I like this one where Sunhoney Moonbow like summons the Power Rangers of her universe to like become the Megazord.
Yeah, I think that's the real takeaway. The real takeaway is Sunny Moonbow's a badass.
In every version of the story, she's super dope.
She's super cool. So
you can be crying and be dope.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the moral of the story. Sahaneen Moonbow is rad.
So the real difference is the general idea of who and what Corellon is and what his ideals and prerogative is. Take your pick, but there isn't much left to talk about when it comes to the Mordecai and Tome of Foes version. That's basically all I got on him. So for the rest of the episode, I will be talking exclusively about traditional Corellon.
Okay.
Just letting you know that right now.
Or like
I am not
vanilla.
recording.
Oh, like your...
my video is not recording.
Well, turn it on.
God damn it. Sorry you lost me there, folks. But I'm back. Where was I?
You're going to tell me about vanilla Corellon.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I am. And that's all we're talking about for the rest of the episode.
So get over it.
So as I mentioned before, Corellon is a deity of many things, but his primary concern is essentially the protection, preservation, and cultivation of the elves, and thwarting the plots and atrocities of orcs and drow.
Okay.
So yeah, his teachings instruct his followers to cultivate beauty in all they do, to seek out lost magic and arts of ancient times, to ward against those that would destroy what they cannot remake, to commune with nature and the mystical world, and to be strong against the corruption of evil and greed.
Okay. Sweet.
So yeah, mostly good things that you know I could get behind for sure.
Okay. I can deal with that.
I can deal with that.
Society built off of these.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to relationships, few have as many allies as the Elven Lord Corellon. First, most, the Seldarine are the closest allies to Corellon, and they are truly his allies and his friends. Like, they are a family, if you will.
That's cool.
With a couple exceptions that are kind of like black sheep of the family, but for the most part, they're a pretty tight-knit group.
You still invite them to the barbecue?
Right, but they don't show up most of the time.
Yeah, or if they do, they like drink all your beer. And
Yeah,
like, go home.
basically.
Okay.
Corellon is married to the triune goddess, Sahaneen, Eredre, and Hanalil fused into one. And together they form a very, very strong leadership for the elves and a mighty beacon of good. From my readings, though, in my opinion, it seems that Corellon he's mostly married to Sahaneen Moonbow. And the other two are just kind of there. That's just my opinion.
This is main. My main.
It's main. The other two are his pockets.
Oh, no.
So anyways, moving on. Of the banished elven gods, Corellon only remains close with Elestrae. We talked about this in the Loth episode. Elestrae banished herself along with the drow in order to be the only good influence left to them, because she's not going to give up on them.
Just like set that up, like, God, guess I got to get banished. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. No, it's actually a really heartbreaking scene. There's actually some art for it on the Forgotten Realms wiki of Elestrae saying goodbye to her father.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So she acts as the sole influence of good amongst the drow. Corellon has strong alliances with Moradin, Garl Glittergold, and Yolanda, who are all respective leaders of their pantheons. That would be the Dwarven, the Gnomish, and the Halfling pantheons. All good deities with a shared wariness of human expansionism is kind of like their general connection there. That's why he's such strong allies with them.
For sure.
It's like we're all good people and the humans weird us out.
Isn't Garl Glittergold the idiot teacher from Prisoner of Azkaban?
No.
Sorry, that's a bad joke.
Oh, okay.
It's not good.
Okay.
Continue.
Corellon maintains close relationships with the various deities in nature, so like Sylvanas and Shantae and all them.
God, it was Chamber of Secrets. Oh my God. Oh my God.
You're talking about Gilderoy Lockhart?
Yes. Oh my God.
Anyways. Corellon has alliances with nature deities as well. So he just has friends in basically high places everywhere. He has a strong friendship with Mystra, the goddess of magic, whom he greatly respects for her knowledge and skill in magic and her power over the weave of magic.
Did he steal her blueprints, and that's why there's 5G magic?
I guess so. While she governs most magic users and the weave of magic, Corellon cultivates elven magic and elven high magic separately.
Right.
Now, elven high magic is a type of magic that only elves can tap into, and it is order of magnitude more powerful than anything any other mage can tap into.
So where is that quantified in like 5e books?
It's not.
It's just a lore thing?
It's just a lore thing as far as I can tell.
So like if you're an elven wizard, you're never going to do like unless you got a homebrew elven high magic.
I think you would have to homebrew it. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe there's a source book. I'm sure there's a source book somewhere.
I'm sure if there's lore on it, then there's some kind of quantification for it, but it's not in the 5e book, is what I'm saying.
In a lot of D&D settings, there is lore. You know how the spell levels only go up to 9?
Yes.
There is lore that mages used to have access to 10th level spells.
Oh.
Like truly cataclysmic level magic.
Oh.
And it almost brought ruin to the Prime. Okay. So the goddess of magic was like, never mind, no more. And she forbade and completely made it impossible for level 10 magic to ever be cast to the Prime plane.
She's like, we need to get the level cap down to 20. 25 is too high. 10th level magic, not good.
So my understanding of Elven high magic is it's either a way around this to cast high level bullshit, or it's like level 9.5 magic.
They're like magic hacking. Like I found a loophole in the weave.
Hacking, exactly. Are you an elf? Does Corellon really like you? Well, okay, the rules don't apply.
You have a back door.
Now, I could be wrong on that. Obviously, my knowledge on Elven high magic is extremely limited. So I'm sure someone will either correct me. Maybe we'll talk about it in the Elves 2 episode, which I'm sure will happen.
We're doing Elves 2?
I think we're going to have to.
Elves the sequel?
Elves
the sequel.
Again? Elves again. I think we do need to go back and recover some of the very, very old episodes because I think we do a much better job now.
Yeah.
And there has been some juicy source books for 5e to come out that really recover elves and halflings and all that. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, there's enough to expand on some of the stuff.
That episode probably won't happen this year, so we'll talk about it another day.
Okay.
So when it comes to enemies, Corellon also has many of these.
Yeah.
So the entire Orc Pantheon, which there's quite a few of those, the entire Goblin Pantheon, the Dark Saldarian, which is the Drow Pantheon, and evil deities such as Bane, Styric, and Talos all hold Corellon in very high enmity. So he has many, many friends and many, many enemies, and everyone has a strong opinion.
Well, it's like
Corellon.
If you have that many friends and like the enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of thing, it's like, who knows, like the possibilities of the team up on Corellon could be like
I think
deep.
Any deity attacking Corellon is basically World War I for Forgotten Realms deities. Everyone gets involved.
Oh my god.
Because everyone's either a friend or an enemy. So there we go. So though nearly all good elves worship Corellon, his blue robe clerics live by his example. They serve as leaders, teachers, diplomats, and generals. They train their communities in magic and combat. They watch over the borders of Elven lands, so they're pretty prominent in Elven society.
Nice, okay.
In the Outer Planes, Corellon is served by 2 solar angels. Remember, we talked about how it said there's only 24 of those?
Yeah.
Well, he's got 2 of them.
Fuck.
Lashrael and Larethian.
That sounds like Dragon Ball Super. You know how Zeno has like 2 guards?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Those are just solar angels.
Indeed.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So they act as his messengers, generals, and champions.
Wow, that's super dope.
Indeed. As a greater deity, as we mentioned in the Moradin episode, Corellon is beyond the level of being fightable to anything, not on the power level of like at least a minor deity.
Okay.
But 2nd edition does do us the honor of statting out his avatar, much like they did for Moradin.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So 2nd edition has Corellon's avatar statted out as a level 36 fighter, level 35 wizard, level 29 bard, and level 25 cleric.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Basically, he's a level 70 character. His longsword, Sahadrian, is a +6 magical weapon that causes 4d10 damage per round to whoever tries to wield it that isn't one of the Saldari.
Oh, God.
He wields a +5 magic longbow named Amlathana. That never misses within a 5-mile radius. His quiver has
miles?
5 miles, never misses.
Okay.
His quiver has an infinite supply of 2d10 arrows.
Oh, shit.
He has an amulet of pure good and a magic wand that has a combined power of a staff of power, a staff of the magi, and a wand of frost.
Oh, man.
He can cast high elven magic without penalty. So I guess there's penalty for high elven magic, but not for him. He's immune to movement impairment of any kind. He's immune to energy drains, and he's completely immune to any type of mind control or charming. He's immune to illusion magic, and he's immune to weapon attacks made by weapons not of a +3 magic weapon or greater.
So he's like strong enough to wield the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
He practically is the Infinity Gauntlet.
Made the Infinity Gauntlet.
Indeed. So, yeah, that's Corellon. Do you got any questions about Corellon?
I have a question about Grumpsh.
Okay, sure.
What's going on with the eyeball? I know, but like I want to know what happened with the eyeball, because is that not like that screams magic item to me?
The Eye of Grumpsh. You know, you would think so because, you know, there's like the Eye of Vecna.
Yes, that's what, yeah.
I don't think there is. I think his eye was destroyed. I know that a lot of Grumpsh, like priests or cultists, if you will take out their left eye in honor of Grumpsh, and he grants them power for that.
Ugh.
So yeah, there's if you see a one-eyed orc, it's probably a spellcaster and probably a fairly powerful one.
Beware the one-eyed orc.
Indeed.
That's great. That's actually a really cool like plot hook. Some crazy old man.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, I had it. So what you're telling me is like they didn't write it down, but Corellon ate it.
No. Dear God, no. That would have grossed him out.
Maybe he burned it.
Well, if you don't have any other pertinent questions, I think we can get ready for our long rest.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
I guess.
And I guess the thing I want to talk about today is we have a merch store.
Yeah, we did it.
We have a t-shirt shop. If you want a Dungeoncast t-shirt, you can get it there. The link's in the description. If you want a Super Quest Saga t-shirt, you can get it there. If you want a TDC Plays t-shirt, you can get it there. And there's also mugs for all those corresponding logos as well.
Yes. And we talked a lot about Super Quest Saga today in no context. So if you're new to the show and you want to know what that is, it's our live play and you can check it out on YouTube or SoundCloud.
Indeed it is.
That's all we'll say about that for now.
Indeed.
But yeah, merch store, mugs, t-shirts. We got hats?
No, we don't have hats.
We don't have hats.
I could probably look into getting hats on there.
We're going to look into getting hats on there.
If there is an audience for hats, if people are like, I want a hat, please add hats, I'll go ahead and add hats.
Oh, I want a beanie, my dude.
I'll see what I can do. I know that we're going to be having some stuff outside of just our logos later on down the road, but we'll keep everyone updated on that.
Yeah, man. The holidays is coming, and I would like to have me a little snow adventure and rep my Dungeoncast.
Fair enough. Okay. But that being said, I think we can call it a game.
Call it a game.
We'll talk to you guys later.
The Dungeoncast.